This is live from my office. I'm Steve Cochran. I thank you for listening and following us wherever you get your podcasts. Leave your comments there. Leave your comments at my email for you to me. What? That's thecochranshow@gmail.com. Thanks as always to David Hochberg and Team Hochberg at 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. He just wants to save you a little money, but he can't do it without you. Check him out, 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. The great Jake Johannsen, one of the funniest people I've ever known. He'll join me in a moment, but before we get to that, it's a little different, but it's been a very long week for everybody, including this guy. Joining us now on the phone, well, I think you know. President Trump, hello, sir.
Hello, Cochran. Big morning. Big morning. Mm-hmm. I want to assure you right now, we have not given up. The fat lady hasn't sung yet. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm talking about Hillary and her cankles. She hasn't sung. And a quick warning to you, any gotcha questions out of you this morning, and I'll slap a lawsuit on your ass so fast your head will spin. I'm in a lawsuit-dropping mood, believe me.
Well, it is a day that ends in Y, but to be fair, we're still waiting on a few key states, sir. You're not dead yet.
And let me tell you, these election results have caused me to get a negative 9 hours sleep last night, Cochran. -9.
Wow.
No one's ever had negative sleep before.
No, that's a record.
But I will tell you, it's just infuriating watching these Democrats try to steal the election by counting all the ballots. I can't believe how disgustingly thorough they are.
First, the media reports on what you say, how you say it, and shows pictures of you saying it. And now, counting all the ballots thoroughly. Look, sir, just take
Such a disgrace.
Take solace in the fact it was a very tight race.
Well, you're not kidding. I haven't seen anything that tight since I accidentally bounced a quarter off of Hope Hicks's rear end. But seriously, what is happening here is fraud. Okay. Plain and simple. It's fraud. Okay. And I have my lawyers at the ready. There's going to be a lawsuit, bigly lawsuit. I was clearly in the lead, and it disappeared. It's unbelievable. I mean, you don't even see that in sports. Mm-hmm. You don't have an NFL team in the lead at halftime, and then the other team comes back to score more points to win at the end. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's make-believe.
Yeah, sure. No doubt. Do you predict things are going to come around in your favor, or do you have any confidence at this point?
They're already in my favor, Cochran. And I'll tell you what, if I don't pull out a win here, well, then I'll be so bummed that I spread COVID to all those people for nothing. All for nothing at my rallies.
Now, some experts are saying the results could drag out for weeks with all your lawsuits, sir. Is that good for America? Come on.
That's very true. Very true. So be prepared for a very awkward Thanksgiving with all your crazy uncles.
Mr. President, let me ask you this. What did you think of the TV coverage as the returns came in?
You know what? I thought it was okay. Wow, okay. The best part, and I think we can agree on this, was not having to hear Chris Matthews screeching and whining with the mouth spittle. First time. What a relief that was. And then fake news CNN, they were worse than usual. I mean, not even Jeffrey Toobin his horn via live cam could have livened up that mess.
I don't think anybody would have wanted to see that. Now, this definitely wasn't how a lot of people thought, especially Democrats. Everybody thought it was going to play out differently. It was a late night of television, and Mr. President, I was up all night and most of last night, too.
Oh, I hear you. I've been up all night, and I had huge bags under my eyes. Definitely wearing a lot more orange bronzer today and yesterday. Seriously, I haven't stayed up that late to see what my results were since I took a paternity test to see if I was a Miss Universe contestant's baby daddy.
You do have your priorities. Look, I think everyone should be proud of the voter turnout, sir. It is huge.
No, I know. We warned people about the long lines, but everybody took it in stride. They took it in great stride. Even Don Jr. Don Jr. loved the long lines. Hunter Biden, too. You know, every time they said too early to call, they hit another line. Some of those lines took up 2 entire coffee tables.
Yeah.
That I can tell you.
If you don't understand that joke, folks, just ask your youngsters, or maybe people older than you. You got to be pretty happy with how you performed overall. Or maybe you're not. I don't know.
Oh, yes, I performed bigly well, and I almost forgot there was some other good news from the election. Besides just me being awesome, New Jersey legalized recreational marijuana for the first time, which probably explains why I got a 3 a.m. phone call from Chris Christie at an all-night Korean barbecue place. He was congratulating me on winning the Super Bowl.
All right, President Trump, really quick. We were able to secure some time with your opponent, Joe Biden.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. He's on another line here. Stand by.
Sleepy Joe.
Mr. Vice President, how are you, sir?
Oh, hey there. Stevie and Corcoran. Hey, I hear you're the number one podcast in the Midwest, guys. Good being with you.
It's actually Steve Cochran, sir.
Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Listen, I want to announce the big news on your show, man.
Well, wait, hold on. Big news. What could you have bigger than this week? What's the news?
I'm announcing my candidacy for president in 2020.
Welcome to the party, Sleepy Joe. Geez, he is bigly out to lunch.
Mr. Biden, you already ran. You already ran. It's over, and it looks like you might be the president.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for saying that. What I meant to say was I'm running in 2024. Yeah, I'm going to be the first octopussy. You know the thing. What was it?
I think you're reaching for octogenarian, someone in their 80s, you mean?
Well, I did run for president in the 80s. You got a good memory there, man.
Oh, boy. Gentlemen, I thank you, but we're running out of time. I know you're very busy, and we have to go.
No, I'm good, pal. Usually I have my fiber shake first, then I have to go.
Wait, Cochran, stop the vote count. Stop the vote count. I have an announcement.
Oh, you.
Rudy Giuliani just found another one of Hunter Biden's laptops. That's a huge game changer.
For the first time, goodbye, sirs.
Later, loser.
Hey, just let me know when you're ready to start the interview, pal. And make sure you pack it with softball questions. All right, man?
As usual, that went just about how I expected it might. We're coming back with Jake Johannsen next on Live from My Office. It is always a great deal of thanks that we owe to David Hochberg and Team Hochberg for being the primary sponsors, the presenting sponsors of Live from My Office. Mr. Hochberg joins me now. Hello, David.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and I understand you're busier than ever.
Yeah, it's rates are still at record lows, and
it's bananas.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is bananas. We just quoted 75-year-old couple in Indiana. We did a cash-out refinance, cleaned up all their debt, paid off like 40, 50 grand worth of debt 6-7 months ago, and they're at the point where you're able to refinance them again. You have to wait 180 days before you can refinance them. Their credit scores are up 80 points, and we're going to save them another, I think, $250 a month. They elected to roll their costs in, and we got them a rate of like 3%. So out of 30, it's insane.
That's bananas.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great. It's great that all the listeners are able to take advantage of these low rates, because the two quickest ways to get money back in the economy, Steve, number one, federal government dropping money right into your checking account. There's none faster than that. And number two, lowering interest rates and allowing homeowners and property owners to drop their interest rates down, because that's a long-term effect, right? That's every month. So, yeah, hopefully all this money that everybody's saving and all the debt everybody's paying off will get back into the economy, where get the economy going again and get some people back to work.
Hi, David Hochberg. Great talking to you as always. And again, it's Team Hochberg, and it's 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com, the title sponsor of this Live from My Office. This is Live from My Office, and here's a guy who not only is a great friend, he's the funniest guy you'd ever want to see on stage. Of course, he's not on stage anymore, but that doesn't mean he's any less funny, entertaining, and delightful. By the way, he's got his own podcast as well. He never misses a minute of this show. He's finally agreed to be on it. It's Jake Johannsen. Jake, hi.
Steve, longtime listener. I guess I've been a guest on your show before, so I can't say first-time caller, but I guess first time. Well, no, I have called. I have called in before, but not during a pandemic. First time during a pandemic.
That's a unique twist on that. The longtime listener, first time pandemic caller. Yeah, that's It's a little wordy, but it could catch on. Who am I to judge?
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know.
So we were just talking off the air. I feel badly for people, because you and I are about the same age. And when I was coming up in the 80s on the radio and a little bit of stand-up, and you were coming up in the 80s as stand-up, there was a certain path to get to where you'd make a nice living. Maybe you do a TV show, whatever the case may be, but you have a nice career in show business. People who are funny now and trying to get into the business, is there any worse time than a pandemic to try to get a stand-up career going? I feel terrible for these kids.
Well, they know what they're doing. They're going to lead us out of here. They're going to invent some new thing for us to do. I mean, God bless them, the pioneers, the young kids. They've come up with all these horrible different ways to do live entertainment now. You can go to a drive-in where you do your jokes and people honk their horns at you. That doesn't sound super fun, but is that better than going into somebody's backyard where you're being heckled by the person who hired you because they're at home and they can get as drunk as they want? I'm not sure, but I feel like, maybe it's a tricky time to start out, but really, I think the whole world is turning into all of what used to be our jobs are now just turning into hobbies.
Well, you know what?
I think
you could be right. You could very well be right.
So stand-up comedy, that's a hobby now. Radio, podcast, that's just a hobby that you have. And then I don't know if jobs are going away or if we're all just going to become entrepreneurs, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we all get paid. I do like the idea of universal basic income. It's like unemployment, except they just give it to you. You don't have to answer a lot of questions every week. That's the problem with this unemployment. They want to ask you, did you look for work? It's like, well, yes, of course I looked for work. I mean, it depends on what you mean by look. I work in nightclubs. Yes, I went and I knocked on the door of the nightclub. There's nobody in there.
Right, but that qualifies for looking for work. And by the way, speaking of knocking, because I mentioned I feel badly for these young comics. What if you and I were to do a thing where we did door-to-door open mic nights? So we took a bunch of young comics who are trying to break into the business. We take 5, maybe 10 of them, no more than that, and we just go door to door, knock on the door, and socially distance them in the driveway, and they each do 3 minutes. It seems like the right thing to do.
I like this. And you know what the business model is for this? Those guys, those kids that come around selling candy to raise money for their school to take a trip. And then I found out that that's actually a scam. And there's some guy who's like the pimp of those kids who drives them around and gives them the candy bars and they go out and hustle to sell the candy in the neighborhood. Except instead of kids, we've got a van full of comedians and we just send them out into the neighborhood and they knock on doors. They say they're trying to raise money to open a nightclub. And they'll do 5 minutes there at your doorstep for whatever the fee is. So
this is how Jake and I are going to spend more time together. Have you, let's talk about your podcast here before we do anything else, because I don't know if you heard, but this podcast thing is really catching on. And I'm just glad you and I are one of the few that are out there, yours and mine. But your podcast is with your wife. How is that working out?
Well, I had in the past, pre-pandemic, I had other guests on, but then once the pandemic started, to be honest, I let the podcast become very intermittent. And then once the pandemic started, I realized, look, I want to go on and talk to people. People need they need something to look forward to. So I started doing this daily Facebook show, weekdays on Facebook at 3 p.m. California time. Mm-hmm. And it's, Facebook Live. So if you go to my Facebook page, you can watch it live at 3:00, and it's me and often my wife, and we just talk and say hello. We got a few different segments. Motivational Monday, then on Tuesday, I read a story from the Children's Bible and a letter from my grandmother who passed away decades ago. But I saved these letters from the 80s, so it's kind of that happens, and then I interact with the people whoever's watching the show. We interact a little bit, and it's been fun. And the people who are into it are enjoying it. It's something to look forward to do every weekdays at 3. Yeah, and I've been enjoying it.
And I've seen many, and I think it's terrific. And your wife is an artist, so this is a performance aspect for her as well. Yes, no?
Yeah, she's more of an environmentalist, and she's been working on her own projects, making videos to raise people's awareness about some of the environmental situations that are going on. So it's not her priority to be silly on the internet with me, but she's good at it.
She is good at it. And the old saying really comes all the way around. The thing we heard our parents say, those who podcast together stay together. You remember when your mom and dad told you that?
Yeah, I'm not sure they were. Yeah. It's been good for our relationship. The pandemic has been good for our relationship because we are spending so much time together, and we've been enjoying that. And I do think that the idea of having to do a daily show sometimes is a little bit of a obligation. And it's an obligation that she said to me sometimes, okay, you're doing it by yourself today. I'm not, I've got other things I got to do. So we're together, but we're also autonomous. I don't know. These are funny times trying to keep all your relationships straight, and then your friendships. You can't even see your friends anymore.
No, and it's funny because normally you and I don't know if people know this, we spend our summers together, and we weren't able to do that this year.
No, it was sad. It was sad because we had planned to rent matching RVs and travel around Missouri together, and now that's just out.
Yeah, because
it's the show me state, so there's a lot of things to see there.
The podcast is at Jake This, yeah? Is that the Facebook handle?
Yes, that's right.
And that's the website as well. Eventually, Jake will be back on stage doing stand-up, and as I always say, and I mean this when I say this, there's nobody funnier, so if you get a chance to see Jake, you should. And if you get a chance to see Jake and you don't, you should feel badly about yourself.
Oh, I don't want people to feel badly about themselves. We're all doing our best here. But, yeah, I'm happy to hear from you just now that I am going to be going back on the road doing stand-up again, because sometimes I wonder, like, what's going to some comedy clubs have closed their doors, gone out of business.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this club in Austin, Texas. They just couldn't keep paying their mortgage or whatever. I mean, I don't know the specifics of what went on, and who knows, maybe they're going to reopen in another location after the pandemic. And I know times are tough for everybody. People, who's buying tickets to go out to see a comedy show? Although I'm surprised there's a lot of people who are able to work from home.
Have you done any of those Zoom shows?
I did one sort of a Zoom show that was it was about couples. And so I just went on, but it was talk to the host about relationships. And then people came on the Zoom and we talked asked relationship questions, and then comedians who are, I think you remember when I would come on your show, Not a Real Doctor. Mm-hmm. I'm not a real couples counselor either. I've got there's a lot of things that I'm not qualified to do that I can give advice about. I don't know if you know that about me.
Oh, I do. Yeah, and I think it's one of your charms, and I think you ought to put it on your resume.
Yeah. Happy to give advice about everything. Mm-hmm. So I did that, but that wasn't an actual stand-up show. Stand-up comedy works because the comedian is talking to the audience who's in the room. Yep. And so these Zoom shows, I feel, in my opinion, they're taking something that's really cool, which is one person's ability to hold a room full of people's attention and make them laugh, and they're turning it into something that seems kind of pathetic, where you're online and you can't tell if people are paying attention or if they're laughing. It's like this level of remove that the performer has from the audience. That's like those drive-in shows that I was talking to you about, where people are on stage telling jokes and you can't hear the audience laughing. They just blink their lights or honk their horn. Well, how do you know if that's approval or disapproval?
Yeah, because there's no way to quantify the horn reaction. The horn reaction is not something that has a history steeped in comedy. I mean, who knows? Good horn, bad horn. We don't know.
Well, in fact, it's a good way, prior to the pandemic, if you're in a comedy club and you hear an air horn, that's a person who's about to get thrown out.
Damn bachelor parties. Now, do you need a beverage? Are you okay? Do you need the Heimlich? I mean, what's going on there? Is all right?
I was just having a little coffee, and it went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, got it. As long as you're all right. I mean, I'm prepared. I have multiple phone lines here. I can call 911 at a moment's notice. So you just give me some sort of sign.
Yeah. But
in the meantime, the podcast is fulfilling the stand-up thing that we're talking about, where comics are trying to, they got to get paid. They're trying to figure out how to do these shows. It's not a big stretch of difference between that and what's going on late night now, where Stephen Colbert is sitting at a desk doing jokes for his wife. Fallon's back in studio, so there's the band and a couple people there, so you'll hear the band laugh. But the rhythms are so wrong. You know what I mean? You know this better than anybody. So these shows are basically, so why did the chicken cross the road? Pause. Well, the other side And then people laugh or they don't. It feels so uncomfortable.
Yeah, so I think people should try out my show because I actually talk to the people who are typing comments in the space, and I don't pause for joke. I think the mistake that they're making is they're trying to do the old thing in this way that it doesn't work because you don't have the live audience. You got to kind of reinvent the thing a little bit to make it so it's not pathetic.
Right. It's the second time you've used the word pathetic. And it's quite,
well, these are pathetic times, Steve. I mean, I don't know how many times you wake up per week and I feel like I have one day every 2 weeks roughly. So twice a month, maybe 3 times a month, I'll just wake up in the morning and feel like, oh God, this again.
Yeah.
And generally every day I wake up somewhere between 6:30 and 8. And I feel okay. And then about 4 o'clock, I'm ready to give up. I want to
All hope is gone.
Make some dinner, watch some Netflix, and just try and get some sleep to be ready for the next day where I wake up and then want to give up at 4 o'clock again.
The repetition of it is, it's very heavy. And when I wake up in the morning, and the radio kicks on and it's Sonny and Cher and Bill Murray sleeping with me, it runs its course.
Yeah, there's a little Groundhog Day going on, right?
So now have you written at all during the pandemic? Because people ask me, do you write during this? Because these aren't terribly funny times. Have you found some stuff that's come to you?
I'm writing checks, but I'm not cashing checks. You know what I mean?
I do. Hey.
Well, I'm trying. I don't think anyone wants to talk about the pandemic, or that's all people want to talk about. So I don't think that that's going to be what people want to listen to you tell them about at a comedy show, unless it's about some specific aspect of it. So I'm trying to. I just decided a week or so ago that what I need to do is really get proactive and directed toward putting together what's the set that I'm going to use when I go out and headline the next show. Just like write some new material, get some new takes on things, decide what I want to talk about. Tiger King jokes, those are over. I can't do that anymore.
Missed that opportunity.
My Octopus Teacher. Have you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I've got a premise, but I don't have the punchline for it. But so then she takes this cotton swab and slams it into my nose all the way up to my brain. Obviously it's funny. I don't know what happens after that though. So if you think of a line I can end with that, let me know.
So we're married now. That's a good punchline to that one. Have you been tested for COVID?
Yeah. I get tested every 15 minutes. Because you can't be too careful. Perfect. No, I have been tested. I've been tested twice, and fortunately, both times are negative. What about you?
Yeah, I've 3 times, and 2 times were the back of the brain swab, and then the last one I went into was they told me it's not as invasive as that, but it was worse because they went into this kind of mid-nasal zone and spun around for about 3 times longer.
Oh no!
And I was like, boy, I want the other one again. So I've been tested 3 times. I haven't attended any super spreader events. Have you attended any super spreader events?
No, I tried to get to a couple of those Trump rallies, but my car broke down. And then at one point, when I thought about going, I slashed my own tires. So no, I have not. It didn't seem wise, to be honest.
Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
Talking about reverse mortgages with David Hochberg. Why does this get a bad rap? I mean, can you really trust these loans?
Here's the deal. My mom was in a wheelchair. She had MS. We converted the living room into her bedroom, bought a hospital bed in there because she couldn't get up and down the stairs. We built a ramp so her mobile wheelchair there could go up and down the stairs.
Sure.
It got to a point where the only asset that my parents had was the house they were living in. So I kept telling them we need a reverse mortgage. We need a reverse mortgage. They're like, no. I hear bad things about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm in the industry. These are great loans. Paid for the appraisal, paid for the counseling, which we now have a company that we work with that gets grant from HUD, so you don't have to pay for it. Long story short, I was going to put my parents into a reverse mortgage, Steve, if their house appraised for what my dad thought the house was worth. I did everything that I could possibly do to get my parents set up to take out this product. Do you really think I'm going to put my parents into a product that's dangerous, a loan product?
Exactly.
Hell no.
But here's the thing, because you hit on it, and I don't want people to lose this. There's all this information out there, and then there's the myths that are out there. And the myths that are out there is, that's how they get you. That's what my dad would always say about stuff. That's how they get you. That's how they get you. That's how they get your house. They're not taking your house.
It gives you the option. You get a mortgage statement, like any other mortgage statement, and you have the option to make the payment or defer the payment. Okay, and a lot of individuals, experienced homeowners, has the option. You're going to get a mortgage statement. You're a grown person. You've made financial decisions all your life. You could either take that money that you would have set aside for the mortgage payment to make your mortgage payment and work your principal down, or you could take that money and go on the bus. Well, you can't go on the bus anymore because nobody's going on the bus, but I used to use this example. Get on the bus and go downtown with your friends from the community center, go see a play.
Right.
Maybe buy a plane ticket and go see your family. Just what do you worry about paying a house off that's already paid off or almost paid off when you could eliminate that payment and live out the rest of your life?
By the way, we'll remind you, whenever we talk to Mr. Hochberg, it's easy to get a hold of him. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com.
Well, that's the tricky thing with this pandemic. A lot of times you got to, things that you used to depend on other people for, you've got to do yourself, like slashing your tires and, sometimes I steal my own mail. Right.
So you like porch pirate your own Amazon packages?
I do sometimes. Sometimes I'll just enjoy them in one of the rooms of the house, and I won't tell the rest of the family that we got them. We've had a couple of false toilet paper scares here at the house. We're out of toilet paper. I'm just kidding. Here's some toilet paper.
The ding dong ditch thing that they did, I think in the 50s, I've updated that too with the Ring doorbell, where I just go house to house, ring their doorbell, stare into their camera until it gets really awkward, and then I leave. I'm not saying you should do it. It's just a suggestion.
I think you make a little sign that says, "I'm not going to kill you," and you ring the bell and just hold that up. So all I can see is that sign. I'm not going to kill you.
What? Now, seriously, you stay in good shape. What are you doing to stay in shape? Are you exercising? What are you doing?
Well, usually first thing when I wake up, and then again right before I fall asleep, I tense all the muscles in my body.
Right. Okay. That's sort of a Pilates move, I suppose, on some level.
And I try and ask myself, when is it all going to be over? And then that's a great workout.
Well, there's no question. Now, in all seriousness, you, I know, have done some martial arts stuff, but which discipline is it?
I started studying jiu-jitsu. It'll be 3 years in December. Although there's got to be an asterisk there because 3 years minus however many
6 months
this COVID has been going on. Yeah.
Now that is not for people that don't know. That is not martial arts for Jewish people, correct?
Jiu-jitsu, no.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. No, I don't even know if I'm supposed to laugh at that, Steve.
It's just you and I. But it's a great workout, I think. Right? Isn't it a great workout?
Yeah. Just you and I. You don't have to explain to me how podcasts work, Steve.
You've got one.
Yeah, I've got one. So, it's a great workout. It's a great workout. So I'm sorry, I can't remember the question.
So you would recommend jiu-jitsu as a possible thing that someone should take up and enjoy the discipline of it and the discipline that it is. That's where I'm going. And by the way, I get nothing from the jiu-jitsu people for saying that.
Well, I think that people feel sometimes with the martial arts that it's going to be some danger. It is dangerous and strenuous. But if you go to the right place, the right academy, they're helping you to get better. And of course, the hard part is when you first go, you don't know anything and someone else knows everything. And you're going to spend a lot of time with another guy on top of you, and you're not going to be able to get out from underneath him. So that's part of the learning curve. But then as it gets better, I mean, it's a great workout, and you are 100% mentally and 100% physically engaged while you're doing it with this other person. And so it's a flow experience in that sense. No matter what else is going on in your life, you're taking a break from it for the hour while you're in the class.
Well, and to be honest, when you just described the guy on top of you positioning thing, it just makes me miss our summers more.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
I'm with you on that.
So tell everybody, give me one name, give me more than one name, a comedian friend of yours that we would know that, is going through the same thing you're going through and trying to figure out what to do with their lives now. Who do you stay in touch with during the pandemic?
Well, I'm going to see one of my old school buddies from way back in the original days of, before it was called Comedy Central. There was Ha Ha and the Comedy Network or whatever. Alan Havey. I see Alan Havey.
Sure, I know Alan.
From time to time. And then I see, fairly regularly, I see my friend Cristela Alonso, who's younger than us, comedian.
But very funny.
And, we're getting through it, biding our time, plotting our next move, trying to figure out when the comedy clubs are going to open up, trying to figure out if we're just doing what everybody else is doing. Every time I go to the grocery store, I always ask them, is it great to have a job and be able to go to work? It must be great.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great seeing 100 strangers or more every day who may have the ability to kill me. It's great.
Yeah.
I don't for a moment judge the people at the grocery store who are not in the best of moods during the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, I'd really work them over. I'd kill them with kindness and go, you seem like you're having a bad day. Is there something you want to talk about? That type of thing.
You mean the people working at the grocery store? I find the people working, invariably, the people who are working at the grocery store or behind the counter at the coffee shop or wherever you go, because we don't have indoor dining, but you can go to the coffee place, get a coffee, and then sit on the sidewalk and drink it.
Right.
Like a hobo. But they're always nicer than the rando who's in line behind you.
Right. And maybe it's what you said. Maybe it's because they're happy to be doing anything.
I don't know what it is, but I just can't believe sometimes the level of... and then you get scared. The people who've got the mask down below their nose and they're walking around always want to go, hey, your junk is hanging out of your mask. But you don't dare do that because you're where they're going to swing on you.
The social distancing thing, everybody's out for walks now. And it took me a little while to get used to the fact that when I was out for a walk and other people are out for a walk, that they would leap to the sidewalk or off the sidewalk to avoid me or leap into traffic. Yeah, they'd see me coming. And for a while I thought, well, it must be me. And it turns out they do that for everybody. I'm going to walk into oncoming traffic other than face you in your mask.
Well, sometimes they don't, though. I was out for a little bit of a walk today. I went down to jump in the ocean. And because I live pretty close by, and that's a good way to kind of clear your head.
Sure. Yeah.
So I walk by this guy, he's walking his dog, doesn't have a mask on, and I have to walk past him, and he doesn't back up. And I just wanted to put my arm out and go, hey, back up, man. But I can't. I don't want to get into a fight with anybody, but like my friend Alan Havey is always saying, I don't do adult education. I'm not.
Right. And he's not wrong. So
yeah, there's no percentage in it.
How's your daughter doing with school? Is she a virtual deal or does she actually go to school?
Hello?
Yeah, no, I said your daughter in school. Is it virtual or does she actually have to go into school?
No, she's virtual. We don't have any in-person school right now.
How's she adjusted to that?
I think she's doing great. I don't really. She hasn't kind of broken down and said, you know, she's a little tired of not being able to hang out with her friends. But of course, all your friends are in your magic box of answers. You know, she's FaceTiming and snap fingering with people all day. You know, they just get on the. There's all different ways that you can communicate with people now, where it's almost like you're hanging out. So she's doing great, and she's been good at school. I mean, it's a little bit weird in a sense because it's almost like being at college. She's at home with us, but all of her school is online, so she has control over a ridiculous amount of her time, and it's up to her to decide when to work on things and when not to. And she's doing great.
And that's great to hear. I was thinking about what if, like in the 70s and 80s, this had happened? Because as you know, when we were kids, if you wanted to direct message a friend of yours, you had to get on a bike and ride to his house. And you know, you might have lost all contact with your friends if it had happened back then.
Well, yeah, you might have, but also if it had happened back then, I think we would have all been much more on the same page. The only way we would have been getting information would have been on the major TV networks or radio, and it would have been easier for us to all be on the same page about what the best course of action to do would be, and we might have all been a little bit better behaved, or should I say more consistent with our quarantine and lockdown from the beginning, and so maybe we would have less cases right now. I don't know. We didn't have Amazon back then. That's the thing. We wouldn't be taking grocery deliveries, so we'd be. I don't know.
No, but I agree with you in the big picture, and I would actually go maybe a step further, and I would say there's never been greater access to stupidity, where people can say anything that previously, if you said it, you would have regretted it, or that inner voice would have stopped you from saying it out loud. Because people are super frustrated now. They go, "Oh my God, there's so many more assholes now." Not so much. Not really. They just all have megaphones.
Yeah, or YouTube channels.
Yep.
I mean, who are you? If you would have told me 20 years ago that there would be a lot of people who seriously believe that the Earth is flat, I would have said, "Come on,
right?
That's wrong. That's not true." Right. But there are. That's what's going on.
And those are people that went to school in person. Just saying.
Well, if they did go to school, that's the other amazing thing about a lot of the conspiracy or these outside flat earthers and QAnoners. It's like, oh, yeah, right. Let me get this straight. We've got scientists, we've got economists, we've got all these people, but you figure this out in your basement by watching other people with a GED on YouTube.
Right. What's wrong with that? That seems logical. So,
yeah, maybe. Could happen.
All right, so Jake Johannsen at Jake This. Now, the next time you and I talk, and we will, we're going to do this on Zoom so people can see how handsome you are and how tired I look. And that'll be...
Or vice versa.
That's possible as well. But if I don't talk to you before Thanksgiving, do you have plans for Thanksgiving? What are families going to do this year? Are they doing a virtual Thanksgiving? I don't even know how this is happening.
Well, I think we might have one other couple coming over, and I'm going to make Thanksgiving, and we're going to. Every time you have someone over and you're going to feed them, or all these interactions now are like the classic hostage exchange situation where it's like, hey, I'm going to put the plate of food down and then back up, and then you come up and get the plate of food.
It's just so bizarre. It's so bizarre, and it's so 2020. Well, look, buddy, I love you, and I'm telling you, to be able to spend 30 minutes with you and not talk about politics is, you make my day. You really do.
Well, it wasn't easy.
No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't.
Well, no, I'm with you too. I feel like people need a break from politics, and I'm even a little bit sorry that we talk so much about COVID, because I think people are done talking about that. We should have just been spending more time talking about our meal prep for Thanksgiving. I've never killed a turkey.
Well, there's still time. Don't sell yourself short. Tell you what, use some of that jujitsu skills on a wild turkey, then you got yourself a meal.
Well, I feel like turkeys' necks are so small. Now you do want to make a choke the chicken joke here, but I'm going to really resist that. I don't think jiu-jitsu is going to work as well on a turkey. Well, I mean, you're going to be doing some just kind of. A lot of the techniques are not going to work on a turkey, I think.
All right. Well, chalkboard it up, and we'll talk it out. That's all. I think we can figure this out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, this is for our next call. The next episode.
Everywhere you look, it's Jake This, from his website to his Facebook to what is the podcast called? Jake This? What's the podcast called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Type Jake This into your device, and some version of me will show up.
And on Facebook Live every afternoon at what time did you say? 3:00 Pacific.
3:00 California time. Yep.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you, and happy whatever. Thanks for being on Live from my office.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure, Steve. Take care, and let's all be nice to each other.
30 years plus on the airwaves, you have turned your dial to me. Now you're tuned into my podcast. It's Live from my office, Steve. From Ithaca, New York to Carolina South, W. Cochran Steve. From Minneapolis and then Chicago twice, top-rated shows achieved. Sit back, relax, and now listen to my show. When or wherever you are, 'cause you're on the go. A-list celebs with some laughs and great info. Live from my office, the Steve Cochran Podcast Show. Yeah. No better place to be. Yeah. Subscribe and like for free. Yeah. Live from my office, Steve. So glad you're with me. It's Live from my office, Steve.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Support the show by subscribing wherever you're listening and by telling your friends about it. Follow Steve on all social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And make sure you check out this episode's show notes for relevant information discussed during the conversations. You can also email the show directly at thecochranshow@gmail.com with any questions or comments. And that's the best place to tell us about your favorite nonprofit so we can make sure we mention them on the next episode. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event. And occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.